be me, successful woman. Been grinding my way up this career ladder for almost a decade now. Actually earned every promotion through hard work, unlike what some people probably think. Living in a nice apartment in the city, financially independent, answer to nobody. Exactly where I plan to be at this age. Well, almost exactly. Been on dating apps for about 3 years now, with varying levels of success. Success being a relative term, I guess. Tonight sitting at my favorite wine bar after work. The one with the exposed brick and the sommelier who actually knows his stuff. Scrolling through my phone while nursing a glass of Bordeaux. Matched with another guy this morning, seemed promising from his profile. 36. Architect. Well-traveled. Reads actual books. We've been messaging back and forth all day. Conversation started great, talking about the exhibition at the Contemporary Art Museum. Then he asked if I wanted to meet for coffee this weekend. I suggested we could do dinner instead, since coffee feels like a job interview. He responds with, "How about we start with coffee and see where it goes?" Immediately feel that familiar irritation creeping in. Why are men like this? So, non-committal about everything. I'm suggesting an actual date, and he's hedging his bets with a 30-minute coffee meetup. Type out a response asking why he's not willing to invest an evening in getting to know someone. He doesn't reply for 2 hours. When he does, it's just, "I think we're looking for different things. Good luck out there." Then he unmatches. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Sit there staring at my phone, feeling that mixture of anger and confusion I've been feeling a lot lately. This is like the 4th time this month a promising match has just evaporated over something completely reasonable. I'm not asking for anything crazy. Just want someone who's actually serious about finding a relationship. Order another glass of wine and open my group chat with my friends. Start typing out the story, but then delete it. They've been getting tired of hearing about my dating frustrations. Sarah actually told me last week that maybe I should examine my approach, whatever that means. She's been married for 6 years though, so what does she know about dating? In this hellscape, the sommelier comes over and asks how I'm doing. We chat for a bit, and I mention I work in corporate law. He makes some joke about how that must be cutthroat. I'll tell him it is, but you have to know how to navigate it. He asks if I'm single and I say yes. He says he's surprised, because I seem like quite a catch. Thank him, and there's this moment where I think he might ask for my number. But he just smiles and goes back to help other customers. Even that felt weird and hollow. Head home around 9, order Thai food, put on a documentary about climate change, check my dating apps one more time before bed. A few new matches, but their profiles are either boring or they clearly didn't read mine. One guy's opening message is just, "Hey, beautiful." Another asks what I'm looking for, and when I say a serious relationship, he stops responding, fall asleep irritated, and wake up the same way. Friday at work is the usual chaos. I'm the only woman at my level in the firm, which is its own thing. The partners are all men, obviously. They're nice enough to me, but there's always this underlying current, like they're waiting for me to mess up or prove some internal bias right. There's a morning meeting about a new client. I've prepared extensively, have all my research ready, present my strategy for the case, and it's solid. One of the senior partners, Richard, kind of nods along but doesn't seem enthusiastic. Then James, who's at my same level but has been here 2 years less, suggests basically the same approach, just worded slightly differently. Richard lights up and says, "That's excellent thinking." I interject that I literally just said that. Richard goes, right, building on your foundation, but the credit clearly shifted. This shit happens constantly. After the meeting, I'm fuming at my desk. My paralegal asks if I'm okay, and I snap at her a bit. Feel bad immediately, and apologize. She's cool about it. Says she gets it. But do people actually get it? Most of the women here are in support positions. They're not trying to break through the ceiling, they're working under it. Spend my lunch break reading articles about women in leadership. There's this piece about how women have to work twice as hard for half the recognition. I feel validated but also more frustrated. Check dating apps because I hate myself apparently. New match with a guy named David. His profile says he's a high school history teacher. Loves hiking, photography, spent a year in Peru. Okay, could be interesting. Send him a message referencing something in his profile about historical preservation. He responds pretty quickly, and we have a good back and forth. Actually, intellectually stimulating conversation. This is more like it. We talk throughout the afternoon during my breaks. He's thoughtful, asks good questions, seems genuinely interested. By end of day, he asks if I'd like to meet up, suggest a nice restaurant I've been wanting to try. He says, that place is pretty pricey. Would I be open to somewhere more casual first? Here we go again. Ask him why he's worried about the price. He says he's not worried, but as a teacher, his budget is modest, and he'd rather not drop $200 on a first date with someone he hasn't met. Feel my jaw clench. Type out that I find it concerning when men aren't willing to invest in a first impression. He replies, asking if I'd be willing to split the bill at the expensive place then. Now, I'm actually offended. Tell him that I believe in traditional courtship when it comes to first dates. He sends back, so you want traditional male gender roles when it benefits you, but I'm guessing not in other areas. My blood is actually boiling. Respond, that wanting to be treated well isn't the same as demanding gender roles. He writes this long message about how he treats people well, regardless of gender, but doesn't think dropping a week's worth of groceries on someone he's never met is a reasonable expectation. It says he's happy to pay for a reasonable first date, but the restaurant I suggested is beyond reasonable. Also points out that I could offer to pay if it's so important to go there. I tell him he's clearly not mature enough for what I'm looking for. He says, I think you're looking for someone to perform for you, not be with you. Then, unmatches before I can respond. Sit there in my office absolutely steaming. Who the fuck does this guy think he is? I'm not asking for anything outrageous. My parents' generation, men courted women properly, took them nice places, paid for dates, put in effort. Now everyone wants to go Dutch and keep things casual and low investment. Vent to my coworker Michelle when she stops by my office. She listens and then says something that surprises me. Maybe guys are just more careful now. Ask her what she means. She says her younger brother is single and has basically stopped trying with dating. Apparently, he had some bad experiences where he felt used for free dinners, or situations where things got complicated and he felt like he had no power. I counter that women have been dealing with bad dating experiences forever, and she agrees, but says, maybe now, guys are responding by just opting out. This doesn't sit right with me, but I don't want to argue. The weekend comes and I'm meeting Sarah and 2 other friends for brunch. They're all either married or in serious relationships. I'm the only single one, which used to not bother me, but increasingly does. They ask about my dating life, and I give them the highlights. Or lowlights, I guess. Sarah gives me this look. You know, Tom's friend Marcus is single. Immediately feel defensive. Ask why she's trying to set me up. She says she's not, just mentioning it. Her husband Tom apparently knows this guy from their gym. He's a contractor, runs his own business. Apparently really nice. Ask what the catch is. Sarah laughs and says, there's no catch, he's just a normal guy. Something about the way she says, normal guy, irritates me. Tell her I'm fine, finding people on my own. The conversation moves on, but I keep thinking about it. What does a normal guy even mean? Someone boring? Someone without ambition? Later that night, I'm home alone again. All my coupled friends are doing couple things. I'm watching Netflix and scrolling through social media. See a post from an acquaintance about her engagement. When she's younger than me, we used to work together. She's nice, but not particularly ambitious or interesting. Yet there she is, ring on finger, looking happy. I feel this ugly twist of something in my chest. Not jealousy exactly, more like confusion and frustration. I did everything right, focused on my career, became independent, didn't settle. So why does it feel like I'm being punished for it? Spend Sunday doing errands and meal prep. Go to the gym, do some work from home. Productive day, but there's this hollowness to it. Evening comes and I'm back on the dating apps. Swipe through dozens of profiles. They all start to blur together. The ones that seem interesting either don't match or don't respond. The ones that do match feel like they're not taking it seriously. Match with a guy named Alex, who seems decent. We chat briefly, and he asks what I'm doing tonight. Tell him just relaxing at home. He asks if I want to grab a drink. It's 8 p.m. on a Sunday. Tell him that's pretty last minute. He says he's spontaneous and thought it could be fun. Explained that I prefer to plan things in advance. He says no worries, and the conversation just dies. Lie in bed that night thinking about Michelle's comment. Men being more careful now. The more I think about it, the more it pisses me off. Women have always had to be careful. Careful about being assaulted, harassed, murdered. But men have to be careful about what paying for an expensive dinner. It's not even comparable. Monday morning, back at work. There's a new client meeting and I'm second chair to Richard. The client is this older guy who runs a manufacturing company. Very old school. Keeps directing all his questions to Richard even when I'm the one answering. At one point, he calls me sweetheart. Richard doesn't correct him. After the meeting, I tell Richard that was inappropriate. He sighs and says the client is from a different generation. I push back, saying that's not an excuse. Richard looks tired and says, pick your battles, okay? We need this account. Walk back to my office, furious. This is what I deal with constantly. And then men wonder why women are frustrated. Get a text from Sarah asking if I thought more about meeting Marcus. Ignore it for a few hours, then respond that I'm too busy with work. She sends back a simple, okay, with a period. Even my friends are getting tired of me. I can feel it. Tuesday night I have drinks with a college friend visiting from out of town. She's in academia. Never married, focused on her research. We used to be really close, and I'm excited to see her. Meet at a cocktail bar and catch up. She seems happy, talking about her work with genuine enthusiasm. Ask if she's dating anyone. She says no, and doesn't seem bothered by it. I think I'm just not built for all that, she says with a shrug. Ask what she means. She explains that she tried for years, but it always felt like forcing something. Now she just focuses on her work and her friends, and feels more content. I admire her certainty, but can't relate. I want partnership. I want someone. She asks about my dating life, and I vent everything. She listens, and then says something unexpected. Do you actually like men? I'm taken aback, and ask what kind of question that is. She clarifies that she means, do I like them as people? Or do I just like the idea of having a partner? Get defensive, and say, of course, I like men. She says it doesn't always sound like it when I talk about dating. This stings more than I want to admit. Insist that I do like men, I just have standards. She nods but doesn't seem convinced. We change the subject, but the question bothers me for days. Of course, I like men. I have male colleagues I respect. I've had boyfriends I cared about. The last serious one was 3 years ago. We dated for about 18 months. He was fine, we were fine. But he didn't want to get married, and I did. So, I ended it. He said I was trying to fit him into some predetermined plan, which wasn't true. I just knew what I wanted. Why is that a bad thing? Wednesday, I'm working late at the office. Most people have gone home. I'm preparing for a deposition, deep in documents. Around 8 p.m. I go to the break room for coffee. James is there, also working late. We make small talk about the cases we're working on. He mentions his wife is annoyed he's been working so much. He didn't even know he was married. Ask how long, and he says 5 years. Say that's great, and he kinda laughs. It's work, like everything else. Ask what he means. He says, marriage. Isn't this magical thing? It's a constant effort. Lots of compromise, and sometimes you wonder if it's worth it. But then, other times it is. He asks why I'm asking, and I say, just curious. He looks at me for a moment. You're single, right? Nod. He says, that probably makes sense for you. Ask what he means by that. He seems to choose his words carefully. You're very self-directed. That's good for your career. Feel like there's an insult hidden in there. Ask if he's saying, I'm too focused on my career for a relationship. He backtracks and says, that's not what he meant. But the moment feels charged somehow. Go back to my office, feeling unsettled. Is that how people see me? Too career-focused to be relationship material. But I've always made time for relationships when I'm in them. It's not my fault they haven't worked out. Thursday, I decide to take a different approach to dating. Go through my matches with fresh eyes. There's a guy named Ryan I matched with a few days ago. He's in finance, seems successful from his profile. I message him something light and casual. He responds quickly, and we have easy banter. He asks if I want to get dinner Friday night. I say yes, without suggesting a specific place. He picks a nice Italian restaurant and makes a reservation. Okay, this is promising. Someone who actually takes initiative. Friday, I leave work early to get ready, put on a dress I feel good in, do my hair and makeup carefully. Meet Ryan at the restaurant at 7. He's already there. Stands when I approach. Tall, good-looking, well-dressed. We shake hands and sit down. Dinner starts well. He's confident, talks about his work in private equity, asks about my work, and seems genuinely interested. We order wine and appetizers. Conversation flows pretty naturally. Then he starts talking about his ex-girlfriend. She was apparently crazy. Wanted too much from him. Always starting arguments about nothing. I ask what kind of things they argued about. He waves his hand dismissively. She was always upset about something I said or didn't say. Wanted me to read her mind. Red flag, but I try to give benefit of the doubt. Ask how long ago they broke up. He says 4 months. Recently then. I share that I've been single for a while. He asks why someone like me is single. Give the standard answer about being focused on career and not settling. He nods and says, yeah, women have it easy on dating apps anyway. Excuse me. He continues, saying, women can just swipe and have hundreds of matches. Men have to actually work for it. Point out that having matches doesn't mean having quality options. He laughs like I've said something naive. Come on, you can basically have your pick. Tell him it really doesn't work that way. He starts explaining to me how dating apps work. Bark, literally explaining the thing I've been experiencing for years. Tune him out a bit while he talks. He's good looking and successful, but God, he's annoying. When the check comes, he pauses. Should we split this? Here we fucking go again. Tell him I thought he was handling it since he chose the place. He says he's happy to pay, but wanted to check. Pays, but the moment feels weird now. After dinner, he suggests going to a bar nearby. Agree, because I've had enough wine to think maybe it'll get better. At the bar, we get cocktails and sit in a booth. He's closer now. Arm draped over the back of the seat. Starts asking more personal questions. About my past relationships. What I'm looking for. I'm honest. Say, I'm looking for something serious. He nods along, but his hand is now on my shoulder. I think you're really sexy. Thank him, but shift slightly away. He doesn't take the hint, leans in closer. I have a place a few blocks from here. Tell him I'm not going home with him tonight. He looks frustrated. Come on, we're adults. Explain that I don't hook up on first dates. He sits back and sighs. So what was this then? A free dinner? My jaw actually drops. He just paid for dinner, and now he's acting like I owe him something. Tell him that's incredibly insulting. He says he's just being honest. Most women on these apps are just using guys for free meals. Stand up and grab my purse. He looks surprised. Tell him he's exactly the kind of guy who makes dating miserable. Walk out while he's calling after me. Get an Uber home absolutely fuming. This is what I'm working with. Men who think buying dinner entitles them to sex. Or men who won't even buy dinner. There's no middle ground anymore. Get home and immediately text Sarah. Tell her about the disaster date. She responds sympathetically, but then says, what about Marcus? Fine. Tell her to give him my number. At this point, what do I have to lose? Saturday afternoon, I get a text from an unknown number. Hi, this is Marcus. Sarah gave me your number. No pressure, but I'd be happy to take you out for coffee if you're interested. Coffee. Of course it's coffee. But fine, whatever. Respond that coffee sounds good. We make plans for Sunday afternoon at a place halfway between us. Spend Saturday night trying not to have any expectations. Sunday, I show up at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. Order my own coffee because I'm not waiting. He arrives right on time. I recognize him from the profile picture Sarah showed me. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. Very contractor looking. He smiles and shakes my hand, apologizes that I already got my coffee, and says he would have gotten it. We sit down and start talking. He's easy to talk to. I'll give him that. asks about my work, and actually listens. Tells me about his business, how he started it 5 years ago. Talks about his crew with genuine affection. No pretension, no bragging. Just normal conversation. An hour passes, and I'm surprised by how comfortable I feel. He's not trying to impress me or perform. Just being himself. He asks if I'd want to walk around the neighborhood. Agree, and we leave the coffee shop, walking down the street, talking about everything. Books we've read, places we've traveled. He spent 6 months in Southeast Asia in his 20s. I mention I've always wanted to go to Vietnam. He lights up and talks about his time there. We end up walking for almost 2 hours. When we finally circle back to where we started, he says he had a really nice time. I agree, surprised that I actually mean it. He asks if I'd like to do dinner sometime. Say yes. We exchange a few more texts that night. Nothing heavy, just easy conversation. He suggests a restaurant for Friday. It's not fancy, but it's supposed to have great food. I agree without overthinking it. Week goes by normally. Work is work. Busy and stressful. But I'm looking forward to Friday in a way I haven't in a while. No anxiety, just curiosity. Friday comes and I meet Marcus at the restaurant. It's a small place, intimate and warm. Dinner is genuinely fun. He's funny without trying too hard. Asks me questions and seems to care about the answers. I ask him about his work, and he talks about a house he's renovating, and shows me pictures on his phone with genuine pride. There's something refreshing about someone who's passionate about what they do. When the check comes, he takes it without hesitation. Thanks him, and he says it's his pleasure. After dinner, we walk to a nearby park. It's a nice night, not too cold. We sit on a bench and keep talking. At some point, he mentions he was married before. They divorced 4 years ago. I ask what happened. He's quiet for a moment, then says they wanted different things. She wanted to move to New York for her career. He had just started his business here and couldn't leave. They tried long distance, but it didn't work. Asks about my relationship history. I give him the overview. Few serious relationships, nothing that stuck. He asks what I'm looking for now. Usual answer, something serious and real. He nods. What does real mean to you? The question catches me off guard. Stumble through an answer about honesty and partnership. He listens, and then says something that sticks with me. I think real means accepting someone as they are, not as you want them to be. We sit in silence for a moment. He drives me home and walks me to my door. Thanks me for a great evening. There's a moment where I think he might kiss me, but he just smiles and says he'll text me. And he does. That night, we start seeing each other regularly. Twice a week turns into 3 times. He's consistent, reliable, present. Doesn't play games or leave me guessing. We're about a month in when something shifts in me. We're at his place, he's cooking dinner. I'm watching him move around his kitchen. He's telling some story about a difficult client. And I realize I'm trying to find problems. Trying to find the thing that's wrong with him. Because this feels too easy. He's not challenging me or pushing back. He's just nice. Later that night, we're on his couch, watching a movie. I bring up something that's been bothering me at work. The situation with Richard taking credit for my ideas. Marcus listens and asks questions. Then he says, "What are you going to do about it?" Talk about how unfair it is. He agrees it is unfair. But what are you going to do? Realize I don't have an answer. I've been focused on how wrong it is, not on how to actually address it. He's not trying to fix it for me or dismiss my feelings, just asking what I'm going to do. It's such a simple question, but it hits different. Few days later, I request a meeting with Richard. Go in prepared with specific examples and a proposal. Present it calmly and professionally. Richard is taken aback, but agrees to be more mindful. Also agree to document contributions more clearly in team meetings. It's not perfect, but it's action. Tell Marcus about it that night. He's proud of me. Says he knew I'd handle it. Something about his confidence in me feels good. We're 2 months in when I meet his friends. They're having a game night, and he invites me. I'm nervous because meeting friends feels significant, but they're welcoming and normal. Couples and single people just hanging out. One of his friends, Dave, pulls me aside at one point. Marcus seems really happy. Thank him and say, "I'm happy too," he says. Marcus didn't date much after his divorce. Was pretty closed off for a while. "You must be special. Don't know how to respond to that." That night, driving home, I ask Marcus about what Dave said. He's quiet for a moment. I didn't see the point in dating just to date. After my divorce, I realized I'd rather be alone than settle. Ask if he feels like he's settling with me. He looks surprised. Not even a little. A few weeks later, we're having dinner at my place. I've cooked, which is rare. We're talking about future plans. He mentions a concert in 2 months he wants to get tickets for. Casually assumes we'll still be together. Something about that assumption makes me uncomfortable. Ask if he's sure he wants to make plans that far out. He looks confused. Why wouldn't I? Shrug and say things could change. He puts down his fork. Do you want things to change? Say no, but also don't want to assume. He reaches across the table and takes my hand. I'm all in here. Are you? The question feels huge. Realize I've been holding back, waiting for the other shoe to drop, looking for reasons this won't work, because every other relationship has ended, and I've always blamed the men. They weren't ambitious enough, or too ambitious, too traditional, or not traditional enough, wanted too much, or didn't want enough. But sitting here with Marcus, who's kind and consistent and present, I realize the common denominator in all my failed relationships is me. Not because I'm unlovable or broken, but because I've been so focused on what I deserve that I never learned how to actually build something with someone. I've been approaching relationships like negotiations, expecting men to prove themselves worthy, to jump through hoops and meet standards, but never asking what I'm bringing beyond my presence. Marcus is looking at me, waiting for an answer. I could give him the safe response, but something cracks open in me. Start crying, which I hate. Tell him I've been an asshole. He looks alarmed and says, "That's not true, but it is. I've spent years being angry at men for not wanting what I want, for not trying hard enough, for being too careful or too careless. But I never stopped to consider their perspective. The guys who didn't want to spend a fortune on a first date weren't cheap. They were protecting themselves. The ones who suggested coffee instead of dinner weren't low effort. They were being reasonable. I expected men to pursue me while I sat back and judged, to invest everything, while I risked nothing, and called it feminism, called it having standards. But really, I was just entitled, expecting the benefits of traditional courtship without any of the reciprocity, wanting partnership while maintaining all the power. Marcus moves around the table and sits next to me, pulls me into a hug while I ugly cry. He tells me he's not going anywhere, that we all have stuff to work through. His kindness makes me cry harder, because I don't deserve it. Not yet anyway. But maybe that's the point. Love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing and being chosen. Building something together instead of auditioning people for a role. Pull back and look at him. Tell him, I'm all in too. But I'm going to mess up. I'm going to fall back into old patterns. He smiles and says he will too. We'll figure it out together. That night, lying in bed, I think about all the men I dismissed. The ones who weren't good enough for various reasons. Some of those reasons were valid, but some were just me being impossible, expecting perfection while offering only judgment. Think about the conversations online I've had. With other women who are also perpetually single, we bonded over how terrible men are, how they've given up, how they're intimidated by strong women. But maybe they didn't give up. Maybe they just stopped playing a rigged game, stopped auditioning for women who would never be satisfied, because the role wasn't partner. It was performer, someone to provide and pursue and prove themselves. While we sat back and evaluated, kept our options open, maintained our independence, which is fine if that's what you want. But you can't have independence and partnership. Not full independence, anyway. Partnership means interdependence, means being vulnerable. This means accepting someone else's flaws while they accept yours. I've spent years afraid of that vulnerability, hiding behind feminism and standards, convincing myself I was strong, when really I was just scared. Scared of needing someone, scared of being hurt. So, I hurt first, rejected before I could be rejected, found flaws before I could be found wanting. Next morning, I wake up before Marcus. Watch him sleep for a moment. He's not perfect. His business is demanding, and sometimes he's exhausted. He's not highly educated or particularly worldly. Doesn't have the prestigious career I thought I wanted. But he's here. Really here. Not 1 foot out the door. Not hedging his bets. Just present and committed. And I almost missed it. Almost dismissed him because he's a contractor. Or because he suggested coffee. Or because he didn't fit some predetermined checklist. Realize how many opportunities I've probably missed. How many good men I've written off because they didn't perform masculinity the way I expected. Or because they protected themselves instead of proving themselves. I can't change the past, but I can change going forward. Marcus wakes up and smiles at me, asks what I'm thinking about. Tell him I'm thinking about how lucky I am. He pulls me close. I'm the lucky one, and for the first time in years. I don't argue, don't deflect or diminish. Just accept it. We're both lucky, because we both chose this. Later that day, I call Sarah, thank her for pushing me to meet Marcus. She laughs and says she knew we'd be good together. Ask her if she thinks I've been difficult about dating. She's quiet for a moment. I think you've been hurt and protective, but yeah, sometimes difficult. Appreciate her honesty. Tell her I'm working on it. She says, that's all anyone can do. Hang up and sit with that. I'm not fundamentally broken. My feminism isn't wrong. Believing in equality and respect is right. But I twisted it into something else. Used it as armor instead of a framework. Made it about what men owed me, instead of what we all owe each other. Respect, consideration, honesty. Those things go both ways. Months pass, and things with Marcus deepen. Meet his family, he meets mine. My mother loves him immediately. My father is quietly approving. My friends are happy to see me happy. Work is still work, still fighting the same battles. But I handle them differently now. Less anger, more strategy. They realize that being right isn't enough. You have to be effective. One night at a work dinner, one of the older partners makes a slightly sexist joke. Old me would have confronted him publicly. Instead, I pull him aside after. Tell him calmly that those jokes are inappropriate and harmful to the firm's culture. He's embarrassed, but apologetic. Next week he's noticeably more careful. Small victory, but it's something. Tell Marcus about it. He asks how it felt. Say, it felt better than making a scene would have. More productive. He nods. You're learning to pick your battles. Realize he's right. Not everything is a war. Some things are just conversations. 6 months in, Marcus and I take a trip together. Road trip down the coast. Long hours in the car, just talking. About everything and nothing. He tells me about his marriage. How they grew apart slowly. Stopped really seeing each other. Asks if I ever feel like we're not seeing each other clearly. Think about it, honestly. Tell him sometimes I project my fears onto him. Assume he's going to disappoint me eventually. He says he probably will at some point, but not intentionally. We agree to keep communicating, to not let resentment build. It's such a simple thing, but it feels profound. On the trip, we hike and eat good food. Stay in small hotels and watch the ocean. One night, sitting on a beach at sunset, he tells me he loves me. Not as a question or a test. Just a statement of fact. To say it back, without hesitation. I mean it completely. Drive home, feeling different. Lighter, somehow. Less defensive. Like I've put down a weight I didn't know I was carrying. The weight of always being right. Always being strong. Always having the upper hand. It's exhausting living like that. Bracing for disappointment. Keeping score. Marcus doesn't keep score. He just shows up. and I'm learning to do the same. We're almost at a year when I have a moment of clarity. We're at a friend's wedding, watching them exchange vows. And I'm not bitter or cynical. I'm just happy for them. Happy for us. Hopeful about the future. Realize the version of me from a year ago wouldn't recognize me now. She'd probably judge me. I think I'd given up my principles. Settled for less than I deserved. But she'd be wrong. I didn't settle. I grew up. Learned that partnership isn't about getting everything on your checklist. It's about building something with someone. That feminism doesn't mean rejecting traditional masculinity entirely. It means having the freedom to choose what works for you. And I choose this. Choose Marcus. Choose vulnerability over armor. Choose building over judging. The men didn't give up. They didn't hate women. They just stopped performing for an audience that would never applaud. Stopped trying to win a game with moving goalposts. And I don't blame them. I was part of the problem. Expecting everything and offering only criticism. Hiding behind ideology to avoid intimacy. Using feminism as a weapon instead of a framework. But I'm different now. Not perfect. Still learning. Still catching myself in old patterns. But aware. And trying. And that's enough. Marcus is enough. I am enough. We are enough. Together. Sitting at that wedding. His hand in mine. I finally understand what I was missing. It wasn't that men weren't good enough. It was that I wasn't ready. Wasn't open. Wasn't willing to be wrong. And now I am. Willing to be wrong. Willing to be vulnerable. Willing to build instead of demand. And everything is different. Everything is better. The fight isn't over. There's still inequality to address. Still battles to fight. But not with Marcus. Not in my relationship. Here, we're on the same team. And that makes all the difference.